once I got here, we clicked instantly. Like we known each other for a long time, and like we study the playbook, hang out a lot, just trying to get to know each other. You know what I'm saying? So, and that once you get on the field and the connection, it just happens because, you know what I'm saying, you building that connection, the timing when it comes to football, and it just shows that he can trust me out there. So that's what I'm enjoying. Like I say, the sky's the limit for Bryce.
2 hours later.
I'm doing everything I can. I'm always working, and again, just every Sunday for me to give it everything I have.
Including off-schedule throws, which I keep seeing out here. What's that about? Are you enjoying that?
Yeah, that's
letting you let it rip a little bit.
Yeah, that's part of who I am and part of who this system encourages. I want to pride myself in making sure that I can carry out the system, and in times it's football. As a quarterback, you gotta move. You gotta make sure that the whatever it may be. There's always gonna be movements and variables, but I want to make sure that I'm as true to my reads to the system as possible. And some of those come with some off-platform throws, and they're all within the scheme of the system. And I'm grateful for the stuff that we do.
Sounds like coach is letting you be who you are.
Yeah.
You serious?
Well, Bryce Young, you got your wish. Now there should be no more excuses for you to fail again this season. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Bryce Young praising Dave Canales for understanding his play style. The Panthers last season finished with a 2-15 record while also having one of the worst offenses in the NFL. With Dave Canales at head coach, the Panthers are hoping that Bryce Young can make a leap next season into being one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Can Bryce Young turn around his NFL career this season? I'm going to say no to that. I do not believe Bryce Young has the capability to become a top-tier quarterback in the National Football League. When you look at Bryce Young's game, he was objectively the worst quarterback in the National Football League. In fact, when you compare Bryce Young's rookie seasons to all quarterbacks since 2000, Bryce Young was objectively the third worst rookie quarterback. The only other two that were worse than Bryce Young were Josh Rosen and Jimmy Clausen. Neither of those guys got a second opportunity, and I'm not saying that Bryce Young doesn't deserve a second chance on the Carolina Panthers. He certainly does. The team around Bryce Young was not good whatsoever, but to objectively say that Bryce Young didn't have a bad rookie season, that is a lie in and of itself. Bryce Young was absolutely horrific for the Carolina Panthers last year. There is no denying that. Was Bryce Young on a bad team? Yes. Was his receiver core not really that good to begin with? Of course, but when you're drafted number 1 overall, the expectation for you is higher than most quarterbacks. Bryce Young didn't even come anywhere close to meeting those expectations of a first overall pick. Am I saying that Bryce Young had to be successful overnight? Of course not. I'm not saying that Bryce Young had to take the Panthers to the playoffs in year 1, but what I am saying about Bryce Young is that had he simply gone 4-13 last season, and if he had the season Sam Howell had for the Washington Commanders, that would have been a reasonable expectation for Bryce Young. There should have been flashes where you could say Bryce Young can become a star quarterback in the National Football League. There should have been moments where his talent would have flashed and elevated his teammates, but I didn't see any of that on the Carolina Panthers last year. You look at Bryce Young's game in general last year and you're thinking, does this guy even belong in the NFL? If Bryce Young played at any other college than Alabama, say if he played at Washington State or Colorado, I guarantee you that Bryce Young would have been drafted no higher than the 4th round. And I say that because nobody would have cared about Bryce Young's stats in college had he played for those programs, and it would have been pretty apparent that his flaws would have been exposed. The reason why his flaws didn't get exposed at Alabama was because he had an elite offensive line. The receivers were really good at Alabama. The running game was good as well. Everything about Alabama was good. Bryce Young always had advantages to his game all the time. Obviously, in the NFL, you're not going to get that kind of benefit most of the time. The Panthers are acting like Bryce Young's offensive line was beyond horrible last season, when in reality, they were just a below average unit. The reason why I say that with extreme confidence is because of the fact that the Panthers O-line actually improved when Andy Dalton was in the starting lineup for that one game against the Seattle Seahawks. And also, you look at how the run blocking O-line was pretty good as well. There was a game where the Panthers rushed for over 200 yards and they lost that game by 22 points. That's the Saints game. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, the offense couldn't do anything throwing the football. And look, the receivers in Carolina, they're not that great, but Adam Thielen got 1,000 yards on that Panthers squad. You also look at how DJ Chark, he got 1,000 yards prior to Bryce Young becoming his quarterback on the Carolina Panthers. DJ Chark was a productive receiver before playing with Bryce Young as his quarterback. And then you also look at how Hayden Hurst was a productive tight end for the Bengals prior to becoming a tight end for the Carolina Panthers. So obviously, I'm not saying that Bryce Young had great weapons to begin with, but people are acting like Bryce Young had the worst weapons of all time, when in reality, Bryce Young should have been able to elevate some of those guys in the first place. Sam Darnold, as a rookie on a bad Jets team, showed far more promise of being a good NFL quarterback than Bryce Young did on the Carolina Panthers. Then you look at a rookie like Davis Mills back in 2021, where he was basically set up to fail on the Houston Texans. This was back when David Culley was the head coach of the Houston Texans. And what happened? Davis Mills showed more potential to be a good quarterback than Bryce Young. There was only one game last season where Bryce Young put together a good game for 60 minutes, and ultimately his team did lose that game. And I will say that the defense didn't step it up in that game, but outside of that one game against the Green Bay Packers, Bryce Young did not play good football in both of his wins. He didn't even play that good to begin with. He just came in clutch at the end, which I will give him credit for. But outside of those few games where he showed flashes of maybe being an NFL caliber quarterback, he really did not do anything good whatsoever. He held on to the ball too long. His deep ball game was horrible. His arm strength was trash. His throwing accuracy was extremely overrated. You look at how his footwork skills were also really bad as well. The guy completed 59% of his passes when Cam Newton was completing 59% of his passes. Did he get the benefit of the doubt on the Carolina Panthers? No, he didn't. He got destroyed by the media. The media trashed him every week, and they didn't care that Kelvin Benjamin was his wide receiver one. Meanwhile, Bryce Young has Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, and Hayden Hurst, productive players prior to working with Bryce Young, and all of a sudden, these guys all forget how to play football. Frank Reich did not want Bryce Young as his quarterback. That is a fact. That is not an opinion. But what's done is done now. Hopefully, Bryce Young can turn it around year or two for the Carolina Panthers. I'm a Panthers fan. I want Bryce Young to do well. I want him to prove me wrong on everything that I'm saying about him. But the reality of the situation is it's not looking good for Bryce Young. And this dude is thinking that praising Dave Canales is going to solve all of his problems. No, it's not. You can't fix bad arm strength. You can't fix overrated accuracy. And you can't fix shitty footwork for the most part. Bryce Young is just not an NFL caliber quarterback. And the sooner people accept that, the better it will be for all parties involved. In fact, I got the Carolina Panthers going 3-14 this season. I think we're going to have the worst record in the National Football League again, and we're going to be picking number 1 overall come 2025. The ownership still sucks in Carolina, and Diontae Johnson is going to fall off a cliff. Look at what happens to every Pittsburgh receiver when they leave Pittsburgh. You look at how Chase Claypool, his career fell off once he left the Steelers. You look at how Antonio Brown, once he left the Steelers, his career fell off. You look at how Martavis Bryant, once he left the Steelers, what happened? His career fell off. You look at Mike Wallace, his career fell off. I think you guys get the point. There have been several receivers that were productive in Pittsburgh, and whenever they left, they almost always fell off more often than not, and we know Diontae Johnson has drop issues. I predict Bryce Young and Diontae Johnson are going to have drop issues all season long, and I think the chemistry between those two guys is not going to be effective whatsoever. I like Dave Canales as a football coach, but he's really being set up to fail. We all know that Bryce Young will become a draft bust, and the sooner people accept that, the better off we're all going to be. Bryce Young's going to be a little bit better than what he was last season, but it's still not going to be good enough. So that is why Bryce Young will not be able to turn around his NFL career this season, as the Panthers will end up finishing with the worst record in the National Football League again. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinNashTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNashTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNashTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video. Comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.